Welcome to the Service Department News Podcast, where we discuss all the latest news and developments from across the service department, apart hotel and extended stay sectors. Okay, so today I'm speaking with Niko Karstikko, co-founder and CEO of Bob W. Niko, tell us a little bit about your background and how Bob W came about.
So first of all, thanks for having me on, George. My background actually, I actually grew up in multiple countries in UK and Finland and the States and France. And with this sort of backdrop of a family doing a lot of travels and what have you, ended up in London afterwards in banking for quite a stint. And then from that sort of stint in Canary Wharf in London, moved towards tech startups, which I've spent the last 10 years in. Founded a company called SportsCenter, a fitness activities marketplace, an aggregator with 15,000 gyms, yoga studios, rock climbing arenas, etc. And then built that, raised like 4 million euros, expanded from the Nordics to the UK and the US, and sold it in 2016 to a corporate benefits conglomerate. And during that time, I guess sort of the cue in for hospitality was that, aside from my first summer job being at a bed and breakfast in a small town in Finland, was I was an Airbnb host first with my apartment, and then up to 7 apartments on the side, starting from 2011 or 2012, and even after selling the company, that was the one thing that I absolutely loved doing, and that then morphed into really a side business, a side hustle. That you started seeing this opportunity of not just making additional money, but there is so much untapped potential in the short stay market, and the short stay, Airbnb type experience, as consumers would call it. And then I went to Asia in 2017 after selling that business. And then I kind of recognized, why the heck, when I'm this huge fan of the short stay experience, why am I spending all this time, 80% of my transient nights in a hotel? And then you started realizing, well, there's just a lack of quality standards and there's a hit and miss in that whole space. Do you trust this guy with the reviews? Nice apartment, but is it in the ghetto? Are they real pictures, etc.? And really, that sort of started opening up the opportunity and the potential of really creating a new category of hospitality where you bring the hotel and short stays together. So I guess that's went a little bit over, but that's the short background of how Bob W came about. And I guess then I called up co-founder Sebastian, an old German friend, a study abroad student in Finland. And we ended up chatting about this sector and started recognizing that, whilst the hotel industry is about 50% brands and most of it has a quality standard next to it, the short stays are, according to some measurements, 0.5% branded. So an absolutely mom and pop industry. So we thought, hey, we've got an opportunity to really rethink this industry with technology, and to scale it and to professionalize it. And that's what we ended up doing with Bob W.
Mm-hmm. What's the story behind the company name?
So most of us who've spent a lot of time with the short stay sort of Airbnb experience recognize that the best kind of experience at the end of the day is that amazing host, and that amazing host can be the difference of an absolutely fantastic experience and an absolute crap experience. And there's a lot of variance, as most of us who are actively use these kinds of accommodations find out. So we wanted to really epitomize that that perfect host. And so Bob W is that avatar of the perfect host. Now, we were Nordic and German, so we were trying to think of Viking names, and we really wanted to be personal, because that's how, when we really started doing our concept as well, it was about creating that connection, that empathy, that connection, that hospitality that's one-to-one, even with the lack of having no front desk. And so with Bob W, we recognized that that we wanted to epitomize that host. And the brief always was best of both worlds, that we wanted to create a concept that is best of both worlds, best of the hotels, best of the short stays. And we tried to do all these Viking names. It wasn't working out. And then eventually we were like, oh, best of both worlds. And somebody pointed out, that actually, hey, it's best of both worlds. That acronym stands for Bob W, which sounds pretty much like a awesome, memorable name. So we kind of jumped with it and have stuck with it. And it's been a part of the magic is that if you read our hosts, if you read our reviews, we've got like thousands of reviews out of 10,000 plus people stayed with us. And they all say Bob W is the best host ever, even though they all know that Bob W is not a real person. So there's some cool magic there.
Great stuff. You mentioned technology earlier. What differentiates your company from its competitors? I'm guessing technology is the biggest piece there.
Yeah, I think there's a couple of pieces there that really make that difference, and I think our mission, our vision, our sort of reason for existence is to really create this 5-star experience at scale, and we've really worked on this. How do we create the 5-star experience for every guest that comes in through the door, every time, 100% of the time, without fail? And of course, hospitality is about doing a heck of a lot of things right, as we know, and without fail. And the trouble is, different people have different priorities and care about different things. So we've really, managed to create this system and use technology and built our own stuff to really be able to take that potential for human error out of it and keep an extremely high quality experience where we can then actually customize, at scale to each guest coming in through the door. And I think, we're on the path of building that, and the elements that we have in place for that is really been able to make that difference. And I think the outcome is, we're ranked 9.9 out of 10 across our all of our public ratings, literally the best ranked hospitality provider in our sector in the country of Estonia, for example. And 75% of our repeat guests book directly with us, which that whole thing says that they're recognizing that it's not apples to oranges comparison. And I think that allows us to really scale. And I think that's what really, where the investors got really caught up, that hey, we have a product that can be really scaled up and will not fail in the classic sense as a manual human to human business would do.
You currently have units in Helsinki and Tallinn. Where else are you looking at for your future expansion?
So we are coming to the UK. We are coming to London. The exact dates and locations, we'll have to have another update with you and share that shortly. But we are going to be signing 1,000 units by the end of this year. We've signed multiple properties in Finland and Estonia, as well as the UK. We will be also entering another 2 markets, which we'll be able to tell in the course of this winter as well. So the target is 1,000 units, and to be signed by the end of this year, and well underway to do that.
How has the pandemic affected the business in terms of both occupancy and the type of guests staying with you?
Well, like we said, what a time to be alive for hospitality. It's been a heck of a ride during this pandemic, and our hearts go out to all our friends in the industry who are suffering. And it hasn't been easy for us either, but we've managed to show quite a high level of resilience by having, I think first baseline is having an excellent product where people come back to, and just having the flexibility in the type of target demographics and the target customers that we go for, and being able to reach those and give a compelling case. So obviously, like many in the short stay rental industry and hospitality industry, has been adjusting and finding new groups. And for us, we've managed to do that from everywhere from essential workers to returning expats, etc. So we've actually managed to, be on average 3 times better occupancy rate than the sector on average. That includes, topping consecutive months at 90% plus occupancy over the summer period, and with healthy double-digit operating margins as well. So we've actually managed to do really well, and I think that's why we're so bullish going forward now. Now, of course, are our rates where we want them to be? No. Is our occupancy where we want them to be? No. But we've shown resilience, and that gives us confidence to go forward, as most of the industry, certainly the hotel industry, is very much frozen. So.
Mhm. What are your most effective distribution channels, Niko, and how is that changing or evolving?
So, a good question. We are, by far, our direct channel works the best. Now, again, we think the simple of it is that our guests who stay with us, and the B2B companies that employ those guests, or the B2B customers that employ those guests, they recognize it's not an apples to apples comparison, but we actually have a superior product that, is the best of the hotel, best of the short stay experience. And as a result of that, like I mentioned, we have the 75% booking rate that book directly with us. And so our most important channel by far, which is, steadily more than 50% of our traffic, is our direct channels. And I think this is something that, us coming from a tech background, we're used to chasing customers from online, and we've managed to find those niches that we've talked about online, and spoken with them in a compelling way to get them on board. Aside from that, we do have, of course, the other usual suspect channels that bring a certain amount of traffic, and we like working with them because we can still do that in a profitable way that makes sense. But we are definitely focused on direct. It's working for us great, and it's bringing good returns on investment.
Great stuff. And finally, Niko, what is your 5-year plan for Bob W?
I think everybody's 5-year plan went out the window when Corona happened. But in 5 years, we're going to be a global phenomenon. Bob W is going to be the epitome of this new category of hospitality. And it's going to really represent an increase, a whole new bar being set in the industry in terms of experience. So that's something we really believe in. We also believe in that we're going to be the leaders in sustainability for that. Well, actually, I say that, but I certainly hope not. I think I hope we all get behind a sustainable approach, whether it's hospitality on a personal level or any other industry for that matter. But we've decided and have taken active steps since we got started that we are going to do everything it takes to do the right thing when it comes to sort of real world sustainability. And we did it to sleep our nights better, but our customers, are really get behind that and really care about that. So which we're really happy about, because it really helps us get on this mission of changing people's attitudes about sustainability. When they get out of their homes, they stay with us and they recognize, oh, this can be equally amazing. And even though the choices that we make in the apartments, in the suites are sustainable, and really set an example which then they can take back home. So we believe in that. Finally, I would say is that Bob W is going to go towards an asset light model, and but in 5 years, we are not going to be taking on as much rental, exposure, or lease exposure as we do today, and we're being really smart about it now as well, and working on a lot of performance and downturn elements. Majority of our properties are on that, so we will not be the next WeWork of sorts. But we will be introducing an asset light model into this industry that has a whole lack of brands and standards, and somebody can really do that and bring great returns for local players that would partner up with us. So that's the future.
Great. Niko, thanks very much for joining us today.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me.
Thanks for listening to the Service Department News podcast. If you'd like to keep up to date with all the latest industry news, head over to servicedepartmentnews.com and sign up to our twice-weekly newsletter. Service Department News is part of the International Hospitality Media portfolio,